push the button.
Button is pushed. Button is pushed on episode 72 of Ladies Wot Pod, and we've gone early for logistical reasons because Mrs. Jones is still in Dublin, and we're just basically overexcited about what happened yesterday. So, for those of you who may be new to the pod, because after Radio Northampton starring roles we've had this morning, there may be new listeners, watchers. Shall we explain who we are? You are. Let's start with you, Mrs. Jones.
Claire Jones, owner of Red Hat. Look, it's here. Look.
There it is.
Owner of Red Hat. And I am normally on the edge of the fens, not far from where you were yesterday.
No, very close.
Oh, God, hat hair today. Yes, I'm normally seen with a camera stuck to my face on the edge of the pitch, taking photographs of the Saints. And you are Mrs. Saunders?
I am Liz Saunders, and I live in South Northamptonshire, and I am chairman of the Saints Supporters Committee, and a Halo, and general all-round rugby nose, and also a bit of a Morris dancer musician thing as well. The relevance of which will become apparent in a minute. So stick with us. So we are into the final of the whatever it's called, the Heineken Cup as we all know it. The European shizzle.
The Dazzle Cup.
The Dazzle Cup. Investec Cup.
Champions.
Heineken to the thing. Anyway, very exciting. Now, the reasons we played Leinster yesterday, and nobody outside of Northampton gave us a snowball's chance of beating Leinster. Leinster have just laid waste to every team that's come before them, except for Scarlets last week, but it was their under 16s or something that Leinster put out, wasn't it? It was people you've never heard of and will never hear of again. So, so Saints fans travelled with hope, and the main mood, I think, of Saints fans was, well, if we score anything, it's a moral victory because everybody else has been nilled. And if anybody can do it, we can, which was certainly how I felt. Didn't go because I was chasing an eel. We'll explain later. And wow, what a saintly performance. As somebody said, yes, they're full of internationals, but we're not a slouch in that front at all, and we played like a good international team. I was going to say like England. No, we played like a good international team. And what a difference it might have been in the Six Nations, Mr. Borthwick, have you'd put Finn Smith on with Mitch for the Ireland game. We might be a whole different thing, mightn't we? But we didn't. You didn't, so we aren't. Anyway, so there we were. I didn't watch it because I was travelling home from Ely, and my husband, bless him, said, "Shall we listen to it on the radio?" And I went, "Not if you want to get home in one piece. Not if you want me to concentrate on driving the car. No, we're not listening to it." So he was got it on his phone, so I was aware of the result, and then with 8 minutes to go, he closed his phone. He said, "Right, we'll watch the final 8 minutes, not knowing the final score." So we were watching it like, what on earth? But yeah, so what can we say? I mean, it was just, what a joyous place to be, though, Mrs. Jones. Tell us about the atmosphere.
Well, I mean, let's start a little bit earlier in the week because I did training and the captain's run. Training was utterly glorious in the sunshine. We've had such wonderful weather this week, and it does lift the mood when you're wandering around in the sun. And you and I have seen, and those that were at the open training see the moves that they practice over and over and over again. Vesti gets them moving the ball around really quickly, forwards and backs. And they were doing it again. They were practicing again, and the academy and lads who weren't in the match day 23 were playing the opposition. And their job is to stop these ridiculously quick moves. So it didn't surprise me on Thursday when I saw them doing the moves. They were different shape, as we saw yesterday, how it manifested itself yesterday. But the vibe was very, very positive, very relaxed. I was trying to find a word. I've talked to several people before even we got to Dublin, saying there is a different vibe about the team, but I can't put my finger on a word that would describe it. Last year, just all felt a bit more frenetic, a bit more anxious because we hadn't at that stage won anything. All this nonsense about we're 7th or 8th in the Premiership. We are the English champions. Yeah, nobody's won the 2024-25 season Gallagher Premiership yet. We're the current champions, and we're playing like champions at the minute. That game against Bristol last week.
Yeah.
It proved our worth. So I wasn't buying all this nonsense. So yeah, they've won something now, and they've some of them have played at international level, and it felt very different.
There is a confidence born about experience. They've played on the big stage now, the bulk of them, so many times, and even I was going to say even the younger ones in the squad. Well, the youngest one certainly has. I mean, he was born for the big stage, wasn't he? But everybody else has gone. Actually, no, we've been there. We've played on the big stage. We've won and we've lost, and we know what it's like. And it's an inner peace almost of that. That it's that we don't. That uncertainty is gone as to what that looks like. And I think that is the core. That's the real difference of we know what it looks like, we know what it feels like,
and it's about working for each other. It's about it's about working as a team. There's that band of brothers that we've seen. So I came out of training thinking this feels very different, and as a result, I felt very upbeat, and I'm thinking this is against the narrative somewhat. And then when it got to the captain's run, the weather was glorious. So they were very late getting to the captain's run. So Dave Rogers and I sat in the sunshine and talked to this lovely lady who is doing some work for I think the IRFU and EPCR, and she's got her own YouTube channel, and she was lovely, and a bit like us, Liz, we've got our own YouTube channel, and Dave was being
our own Facebook page, and our own Facebook page.
Our own Facebook page now, yes, and Dave was being served tea and sandwiches. It was a tough life, sat in the sunshine.
Yeah. Did you get tea and sandwiches then?
I was offered them, but I didn't. Okay. I was fine. I was absolutely fine. But Dave wasn't going to turn down a freebie. No. So I was out in the sunshine, and the team turned up, and it was just a lovely hour on the pitch. I have to say, the pitch at the Aviva
looked spectacular.
Stunning. It's like a baize. Mr. Miller would have been. He would have been all over it. He would have been all over it. Beautiful pitch, and I took particular relish because part of the training session was open, which is why Dave could be there. But it's ironic. He works for Getty Images, and normally they don't go anywhere. He was confined to this space behind a rope. So, but I could go because I got the right sort of pass. Lewis and Tom Quar and I could wander wherever we want. And there's Dave, Getty Image photographer extraordinaire, corralled at the side.
Brilliant.
And then they basically shooed Dave and the lady from wherever out of the stadium. And so I had these marvellous photographs. I was particularly when Fergs was doing the scrummaging practicing, where it said, no photographing, no filming. Closed training, and of course for us as club photographers we could do what we wanted, so we've got lots of photographs of that in the background, but it was again really, really positive, really upbeat, lots of seizing the moment type conversations, learning from for those who've been involved with last year, learning from it, enjoying it. I mean, you often hear sportsmen say enjoy the day. They actually meant it. They really did mean it. So again, I wandered out the stadium. Dr. Jones had ensconced in Smith's, which is the pub that Graham and Lenny and co had picked for their Saints show, and you're on your fourth Guinea. He was on his fourth Guinea by the time I arrived, with a whiskey chaser. So he was doing all right by the time.
He was mellow.
He was definitely mellow. Followed by some Litchfields and some Lockets, and lots of people turning up for Graham and Lenny and Jake Sharp's special Saint show.
Yeah.
So Friday night was, busy. Lots of interviews, as you would expect. But I think we need to mention the fact that our new chairman, Ella Bevan, and our reasonably still new CEO, Julia Chapman, were doing a very good Girls on Tour. They'd started at Smith's, and they kept going. I can say that they were still going yesterday, and the tour. I think, well done, ladies. Yeah, definitely. In fact, Ella was concerned because you have to do all the glad handing before the game. You have to do all the glad handing. And I could see in the stands that she was really having to work hard. For those of you on Spotify, you might want to look at the video, and you can see Julia and Ella were really having to put the miles in for the club. It was tough. It was tough.
Height of diplomacy there.
Yeah, it was tough. It was definitely tough.
I'm sorry. You're saying Van der Fleer is going to be a threat to who?
So by the time we got to the ground, the same thing that happened to me at the final, the Gallagher Premiership final, happened to me again this year, which is I got all the details about where I was working, what colour bib, red. See, as I said, went with a hat.
Yeah, went with a hat.
The red bibs were really, really helpful. Where I'd be working, my access, which Dave Rogers found very useful because I became the person who would go and fetch a lens from his bag to save him walking around the long way. Very useful there. So I felt by the time I got back there on Saturday, I knew exactly what I was doing. Tony Weymouth, who is the photographer's, he runs the photography room at Twickenham. He was actually running it for the EPCI yesterday.
Right.
So my old friend Tony, we were absolutely sorted. All the hassle that I'd had last year and the difficulty I had last year, Tony was just an absolute star. He looked after me, he looked after Lewis Dean. We got absolutely everything that we wanted access-wise. It was really, really good. So I was very chilled. A very excited Baves was working pitch side for Premier Sports.
Yes, he seemed very upbeat.
Yeah, he was really upbeat as well. Big smiles. Yeah. There were a lot of upbeat people there yesterday. It was a gorgeous day.
I think when you're going into something like that, when nobody gives you a hope in hell, and literally that if you do the minimum of even scoring a penalty, you've achieved more than anybody else. It does give you a sense of freedom, doesn't it?
And they had nothing to lose yesterday.
They could do what the hell they liked, and they did, and it showed. So you were telling me before that a certain second row had taken.
Oh yes. So I think Tamo wins the Spectacular Boots Award. Finn Brown actually had some shockers in training on Wednesday. Oh my lord. Dowse was like looking at him going, really? They actually, if Helena Rowland or Helen Nelson were wearing them for Loughborough, they'd have looked perfect because they were purple and pink and very. But on a flanker, yes. Anyway,
probably size 14 feet or something.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't look right. But Tamo had the most gorgeous gold boots on yesterday. He was seizing the moment, and they glinted in the sun.
Oh, nice. Twinkly feet.
So your boots, we were talking about, your boots were a sort of goldeny yellow. These were more, creamy,
goldy
gold, gold. Yes, but they look fabulous. But most of the teams, on both sides wearing orange boots. Orange is
I love
obviously
orange.
the
Orange
colour.
is the new black, isn't
Yeah,
it?
so
As
the
far as
salesman's
boots are
clearly been
concerned.
in both,
Yeah.
squads and handed out the orange boots, which I have to say are nicer than the salmon pink ones of a couple of seasons ago. They were horrible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
So it was a good vibe about the team. It was the stadium was not full. They
no.
gave a count of 42,000, but it was incredibly noisy.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you
It sounded on it. I've listened a bit to the start of Graham and Lenny, but watching it on the back on the telly, it was noisy. Just out of interest, I wonder how many of those Leinster supporters are going. Ah, no, we'll not do that. We'll save it for Cardiff and
Oh yeah,
not
absolutely. There would have been a
horribly
few.
unstuck
Yeah,
because
there
I
would have been
think
a few. I'm sure of it.
yeah,
Yeah. And there was just bewilderment around the ground when it went. But we'll talk about the end at the end. Um,
yeah.
so so they came trotting out as they do. They were playing towards the north end. I was sat in the same spot I sat in 2013, so I was very happy. George North scored at that end, but unlike 2013, Saints were playing a different brand of rugby. It was just sublime.
Yeah.
You know,
But
the shock started. The shock started right at the
I
very
was going to
start.
say, can I just throw in, of course, globally, there is something that happened in 2013.
Oh
that has
yes,
happened this year.
yes.
New Pope, death of a Pope.
Yeah,
Death of a Pope, and we win in Dublin. Obviously, it's the way it goes, the way it falls. So let's go on to the game now.
So the game was frenetic. It was full on. But unlike last year, Saints, and actually several times this season that we criticised for them, Saints started incredibly quickly. And both teams went at each other, neither getting the upper hand. But I was quite relaxed about that because I thought, what I didn't want was a repeat of the rabbit in the headlights of a year ago. And we didn't get that. Everybody looked fine. Everybody looked relaxed. They knew what they were doing. There was some good carries. And you just thought, this is looking good. And Josh Kemeny, he gets better and better and better. I mean,
serious, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. I mean, that drive up the left wing was just brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. But the first try, Fremo and Finn, the Fremo.
Classic.
I mean, it's classic Vesti move. Have they not watched the video? Because if you know anything about, he'd seen the line was up, chip over the top, off goes Fremo, home to TM medals.
How many times have they done that in green, black, and gold, and in white? I mean, how many times?
Yeah, I mean, actually, the fact I must admit, I was very pleased when I heard earlier in the week that we were going to be in the home shirt, simply because the colours. If we'd ever, the white shirt's fine. I've got no problem with the shirt per se, but it looked it's spectacular as a scene with our green, black, and gold, and their blue. It looked brilliant. And it wouldn't have looked half as good with us in white. So we take the lead, and then of course they come back at us, and by this time I'd realised that Mr. Bruce, the referee, was not going to be overawed by Leinster.
No, not at all.
No, he wasn't having truck with either side. And as it turned out, when they scored, there was a penalty, but then they scored. Curtis had to take one for the team, and off he trotted. Yes.
Can I just say, when we bumped into Curtis in Newcastle, in the city centre, when we were up there, I think he'd been sent out for some tartan paint or something just to keep him occupied. We were chatting about the game against Leinster, and he said, "No, we'll do it." Which, I mean, it's nice to hear from the players, but the confidence wasn't cocky.
Oh yeah,
it was just quiet. We know we can do it.
Yeah, we know what we've got to do, and as long as we do what we've got to do, we will do it. And
So Curtis, who I also think had a cracking game, although there was one very entertaining moment, not for Curtis, but for us, where he was actually there was there was a mall going on, and Curtis was trundling forward but upside down. But waving in the air. That was highly entertaining. Yeah.
Yes. I think actually they pulled out to 15-10, so we'd scored, then we got a penalty. When Curtis ended up in the bin, it went to 15-10. And then just mayhem ensued.
Yes.
And mayhem ensued. Henry, I mean, if actually, shout out to Joss van der Flyer, who said hello to me because he recognised me from last year. What a nice man.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, Henry.
No, it's because he got a red hat on. It's a thing. It's a code.
How red hat wearers. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he and Mitch spotted the gap, and it was Snyman and one of their props. Furlong, was it?
Yeah.
Basically, no, Furlong had gone by. Anyway, whoever it was a prop. They spotted the gap and off he went. Now, I don't know what Mr. Pendergrass was doing, but if that had been
Panicking.
Well, if it had been
Panicking
Mr.
was what he was
Smith,
doing.
Henry would have ended up in row 10.
Yeah.
But instead of which, Henry just went
Pendergrass. But that poor
hurtling
lad
round.
is somebody needs to throw him a life raft because he is
just feeling the pulse.
Yes. So what are you doing? You're right.
Just feeling the pulse.
I just feel
it doesn't work with me doing it, does it? Henry does it much better.
Poor old Prendergast is just. I think he's drowning. I think they need to look after him. He's going to have all his confidence kicked out of him.
I do fear that there are a number of players, either that they've just binned, they've gone no bin, or they've just heaped. You are the next Johnny Sexton. You are, you are the next Ronan O'Gara, and you just think, no, stop. We have never ever said to Finn, "You're the next Johnny Wilkinson." It's never been said. You're the next Finn Smith. You are Finn Smith. So I think the Irish press and the Leinster management have a lot to think about, because the way they heap this stuff on players is not doing them any favours. He looked really nervous before the game, and he got more and more nervous as the game went on. So I felt a bit sorry for him that, and Gibson Park was not helping him. I've read some of the reports about Gibson Park's performance, and he gets the usual 8 out of 10. No, Pendergrass was having to pick up stuff off his bootlaces far too often. He was being sent down blind alleys far too often. So, so Gibson Park needs to look at his performance yesterday, because it was not, Mitch taught him a lesson. But yeah, and then so Freeman.
Let's come on to teachers of lessons at the end as well, because there were a few. But yeah.
So Fremo decided that he was going to prove, to both wings. But now, look, we need to have a strong conversation, don't we, Liz, about Matt Litchfield's role in all of this.
Yeah, we are getting very concerned. It could just be Graham, of course, being demented. Listening on the radio, suddenly Matt Litchfield is on the wing again. Yeah. Where does he keep coming from? Does he run onto the pitch and elbow Thomas into row 10? Get out, it's my turn. What is going? We need to be told. Matt, pack it in. You're not helping.
No. I mean, I get that we want props these days to be more mobile. Yeah, I do get that. But Thomas has a job to do, and part of it shouldn't be to get his father out of the way.
No, it's not bring your dad to work day.
Exactly, which it appears to be every week. I mean, at least we weren't giving away penalties in midfield, so
it's an improvement.
It's an improvement, and O'Brien did end up in touch, so we did get the line out. But yes, so I mean, our wingers were just appearing on either side. It was everywhere. And so it became, the Fremo show and the Henry Pollock show. And but the team were putting Fremo away to score, and he took his chances. And unusually, Leinster did not take theirs. Our defence was just immense.
Awesome.
I didn't really mind when they were driving for the corner. I didn't. Sorry, I'm binging because we're
No, there's
getting
loads of
Champions Cup messages, final
yeah.
messages. I didn't mind
I'm
them
binging
going for the
too.
corner. In fact, we'll talk about the second half in a minute because that was hard work. But there was a chance at the end for them to go for 3 points,
Oh yeah.
and Conan went for the drive, and I just thought, well, thanks very much. Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
for
take
that.
you on all day. We'll
Yeah,
take you
that's
on
been
all
super
day.
successful so far. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And of course, it ended up where it ended up. But
It's
yeah,
an
it was.
interesting one, wasn't it? Because thinking about training and all the training the Saints do with Vesti and Fergsburg. Right, stop. It's 3 minutes to go. And you're 34-37 down in the semi-final, and you've got this and you've got that. What do? When they do it at the end of training when they're tired,
Mm,
the decision making from Leinster was woeful. And I thought
mm.
they've not been coached to be under that form of pressure. And
Absolutely, and they haven't got Fergs being really fussy and giving penalties left, right, and
yeah,
centre.
yeah,
So yeah, I think it would it served, it did that, all that training, all that thought served us well. And we should shout out to Jake Sharp, because Jake Sharp is the transition coach. So his job
yeah,
is when we go from defence to attack. And what do we do? Ringrose drops the ball and away we go. And from it, Fremo scores. And that, you could say that's the dream that Jake Sharp has.
yeah.
That, when the opposition,
Seamless.
when you get the ball back, you score. Almost
Yeah,
immediately. So,
yeah.
there was a
You
lot
don't
that
you don't get stuck in a
and
mindset of
thinking of what do we
re-defending.
do next.
Yeah,
You just
yeah.
execute the plan that you've
Yeah,
practiced endlessly.
yeah,
It's not to say it was perfect. I mean, people having balls. I mean, the physicality was off the scale. People having balls ripped off each other. Yeah, it
yeah.
was. It was. It was brutal at times, but it was compelling, utterly compelling.
Absolutely.
And just great fun to shoot. I mean, there were piles of bodies everywhere. Mr. Bruze did his best to keep things moving, but it was just, forget in at the side. It was in all over the shop.
Oh, there was a lot of. Don't know
Yeah,
where the gate is
both
in
teams had
people's
decided.
houses, but yeah,
Yeah, both teams were at it. So yeah, it was poor from that point of view, but yeah, you have to play to who you're being ref by, and we did.
yeah.
Um, you know, many a year we've said we needed to be more streetwise. Well, we were.
We were, and that's really nice to see that we're not standing back and being bullied anymore, or being, or then being stupid. We were being sneaky, and getting away with it. And why not?
I think Fergs must have been. Well, I know he was, because I sat next to him in the changing room afterwards, and I said, "Well done, Fergs. You must have been so chuffed with the scrum." And he went, "Yep. What we were told is the starting Lions front row." And I went, "Yeah, and you've broken one of them by 15 minutes." And he went, "We
And
had."
had the replacement. One of the replacements whinging like a genge by the end of it. Yeah.
It was an immense performance from Curtis and Manny and Big Trev, and of course the engine room of Tamo.
No, not him.
No, he's in France on a motorbike
He's
somewhere.
in France. Yeah.
Tamo and Alex Coles. Alex
Oh,
Colesy.
Colsey. To say he's come of age this season is, again, imperious. They're just bossing the line out, bossing everything everywhere. He's, lovely
Yeah,
to
it was
see.
really good to see. Really good to see.
The yellow card. And a yellow card.
And a yellow card, but it was
Oh,
all of 1 minute to go, so we'll let him off. Yes. And then the second half, we do need to talk about the second half. So I was at the other end now. Not such a nice position, but I was sat in front of two ladies who had a sign that said Henry Pollock is the bollocks. And I thought, meh. And the thing was, they were Irish. So I believe. So they were.
Were they from Munster, right?
I don't know. Yes, I'm sure I detected an Irish accent. But it was hard work. The second half was hard work. And we were all chewing the carpet. James Rand's try was fantastic. It came at
Oh,
just the 62 minutes. It came at just the perfect moment.
perfect. And that
Because
was
we'd
a
had this
team try.
nonsense of 50-22s from number 8, Caelan Doris, and all sorts. And it was putting us under the cosh. So, again, to get that away and score that
Yeah.
try, just spot on.
And it was, that was something, talking about Colsey, his pass to Dingers to James Ram was bloody outrageous from a second row.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was,
There were a lot
you
of
know,
that going on. You're just thinking, bloody
impressive from a
hell.
centre. From a second row, shouldn't even be in his armoury, but that was, it was a thing of beauty. And Dingers just, I mean, you can't, a glue player doesn't even, that's that.
And the press still don't get how good he is. You know, they still don't get it. Hutch has Radders and put him on a red meat diet or something. He was a tackling machine
He was.
yesterday.
Yeah.
I
I don't
mean,
know.
just amazing. He was brilliant, utterly brilliant. But it was still very close. They were still scoring. They were still, we can't say we counted away with it because we didn't, And when all said and done, they are. Graham went through a mode at the beginning of his commentary of telling us constantly how many caps they had. 1,000 in the starting 15, 350 odd in the bench. Well, we had 5 on the bench and 93 in the starting team. But it didn't make a ha'porth of difference. It didn't make a ha'porth of difference. Because the guys believed. And, if ever Gregor Townsend wanted a lesson in how good the man that we see, Rory Hutchinson, is at centre, he got taught a lesson yesterday. Because, if he hasn't taken notice now, he never will. Because Hutch was brilliant yesterday. He was, he was the ultimate team player. He just kept felling him. They were hitting his channel deliberately, and he just kept, down they went like a sack of spuds. So it got to the last few minutes, and normally I do my little trot round to the technical area. In a game like that, you can't go into the technical area because technically the technical area is part of the pitch. It's part of the playing. So I was allowed to move, but I moved basically as near as I could without actually being in the technical area. So I could then beetle once it had all, finished, whichever way it was going to. I could get to everybody really, really quickly. What I would say, and also I was trying to get past Premier Sports because they had their RTE at one end, Premier Sports were at the other end. And I was trying to get past their little studio build team who were going to rush out and build whatever. And so I missed, I couldn't watch the big screen while they were examining, whatever they were examining regarding the try or the non-try and the yellow card. I'll see it when I get home, but I've got no idea what happened. All I could see was a lot of people doing this and looking really concerned. And then, he yellow cards Colsey. Chunya was on by now. Chunya, do you want a useful, interesting statistic?
Chunya came on then,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So Chunya was on. Chunya and Phil Dowson share an interesting statistic. In 2013, Phil Dowson played precisely 1 minute of the match.
And in 2025,
Chunya played exactly 1 minute of the match. But what a minute!
What a minute!
And of course, Henry nicked the ball. Had
to be Henry.
Had to be Henry. And we basically, drove our way to using up the minute, and Finn smashed the ball into touch. And then they all obligingly celebrated it in front of Dave Rogers, who would have been very, very, very pleased. Meanwhile, I was getting, as I say, the bench and Lizzie and Ben Rhodes and all the S&C guys and Tom James and Johnny Vyman, because of course you got all the travelling substitutes there. Everybody just going yip yip crazy. Reminded me of Twickenham, and the way everybody was just bouncing around. So I got lots of photographs of that. And then my job, I decided, because I realised the players, so your Finns and your Fremos and whoever, and your Henrys, would get loads of photographs taken of them. So I concentrated on everybody else. So your S&C team, you know, the all the performance analysts, the medics, the touring Ella and Julia, of course. You know, because they were now out on the pitch, having suffered in the stands. They were now out on the pitch, and you know, they took one for the team. They were out there. You know, the sisterhood were.
It got worse for them, didn't it? Same as you. What?
I mean, seriously. I mean, you know. We suffer. We suffer. Yeah, things we have to do, and it was wonderful. The supporters were great. Lots of banners, lots of cheering. I went over to the south stand and took lots of photographs. So the photographs will be around when eventually I've edited them. So everybody, but there were lots of people waving flags, and one of the nice security guards ducked down so his high-vis orange wasn't in the photos, which was very sweet of him.
Oh,
everybody, and yeah, it was great. It was great fun. And so yes, so we've got lots of photographs of everybody involved, not just the obvious, you know, Fremos, Finns, and whoever. Because it's a record of their day as well. You know, it was the I was there moment, so I was determined. And Ben Rhodes, bless him, took a photograph of me. So I've got a photograph of me on the pitch. Yes, which is very nice. But yeah, it was actually, I've got a photograph of Tom Lockett hugging me.
Oh.
I'm very pleased with that one. Thank you.
That's a nice one.
It's nice. Yes, so it was lots of hugs and smiles, and yeah, it was great. So we have to do our Ladies Wot Pod Player of the Match, don't we?
Uh,
Well, so Fremo, obviously, Nick the
official. Gets another zebra. How many zebras? He's got a herd.
But by the way, the sender of the photo of me hugging Mr. Lockett, of course, is his mum, Kerry.
Of course, yes. Of course.
Before anyone starts, I'm getting. No, yes, I owe her an apology because that means I absolutely blanked her and I was stood about 10 feet away from her. So that was a bit rubbish, wasn't it?
She's used to your rude behaviour, don't we?
I know, outrageous. I am.
We all are.
Seriously.
We forgive you. Yeah. So, player of the match. Well, I mean, it could almost go to anybody because, I mean, I'm ruling people out rather than having to look for people in. I thought Curtis had a brilliant game, got a yellow card, so he can't have it. It's a good excuse. I thought for the front rows, the starting front row and the ones that came on, amazing. Colsey again, amazing.
But got a yellow card, so rules himself out.
Got a yellow card, so he's out. Mitch, sorry, Gibson. What? We've ruled him out because he'd get it all the time, and Henry doesn't get it because he'd get it all the time. But Finn Smith, I thought
What did I say? Oh, IT department, didn't I say Finn Smith? He's nodding.
Mastery of how to run a game at an international level, how to play to make the runs around you look good. I mean, and I think. Mention to Dingers as well. He's in the running. Just think of the ones who were absolutely up there in the running. But,
well, absolutely. So, I'm with you. It's Finn. It absolutely was.
Still not as cool as his mother, but.
But at least Finn doesn't have to deal with his mother on the pitch.
No, that's very true.
Mind you, that really would be shocking if we found.
That would be. Yeah.
Mind you, that might be the next chapter in the tour. You know, Ella, Julia, and Jude on tour
Yeah,
on the pitch during the game.
yeah.
That would add a certain something, wouldn't it? So, yeah, I agree with you. Finn Smith
Yeah.
was definitely my Ladies Wot Pod player of the match.
Special mention goes though to a replacement prop, Elliot Miller Mills, who had yet another international prop whinging like, "Oh, it's not fair. He's bending me up. Oh,
And
it's not
also
fair."
meant that Dave Rogers got one of the best
Best.
celebration photographs
Yeah.
of Elliot just putting his hands up and Geordie Barrett,
Oh
with his
yes, Geordie who?
Geordie
I
who?
mean,
Yes, yeah. Well, that's the big complaint in Ireland today. That why didn't he play Barrett? Because in the quarterfinal, Barrett was man of the match, player of the match.
yeah.
But that's their problem. We don't have
That's their
to.
problem. They have many. Oh, I tell you, if you haven't had to trip over to look at some of the the Leinster fans forums or any of the Irish fans forums, it's worth a trip. Oh, they're not happy, any of them. So you've got the Leinster fans are weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth, and let's sack Leo Cullen, and then you've got the Munster and the others just coming in with the boot. Well, yeah, get all the funding and yada yada yada. Yes, it's
Yeah.
really, really quite
Yes.
entertaining. So yeah. So we haven't awarded Sergeant Wilson, have we?
We haven't awarded Sergeant Wilson, and I think really there is only one winner.
There is only one.
It's Dingers.
Dingers again. Yeah.
Of course, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Whatever.
Have I told him off? Have I given him the warning? No, I haven't.
Yeah. So there was, for those who might have missed it, there was a bit when we were on 2 penalties, and he called the captains over and he said to Dingers, "You're on 2 penalties," and Dingers went, "Yeah, okay, I'll go and have a word with them," and beetled off, having agreed with the referee completely. I went, "Yes, leave it with me. I'll go and deal with them," and beetled off, and the ref had a chance to give them a warning about one more, and it'll be a card, and it was just absolute mastery in how to handle somebody.
Yeah,
And
he was managed. We did manage Mr. Bruce. I mean, obviously, we didn't manage him that well because we got 3 yellow cards. We got 3 yellow cards, but you know, hey. So well done, Dingers. Absolutely, Sergeant Wilson Award. So after the game, again, I notice that Radders was wearing the trainers that he was wearing the other day that I remarked upon, and he and I agreed he has to wear them for the final.
In fact, what was his comment to you, Claire?
They're my finals trainers. They're my finals.
Okay, do it in a
They're my finals trainers. I can't do this. My whole accent is just not up to finals trainers.
No.
I'll be wearing them. Don't worry. I'll be wearing them.
Yeah.
Yes. But he and I seem to be the only 2 people who like them. But, you know, if it means we win, I don't care. Yeah.
So,
Green, black and gold they are before anyone else. Yes. So Radders trainers are definitely... Mind you, I learned today that you'll be wearing your Saints pants.
I was just about to say, do you think we need to go on to pants? Really? I was just thinking, yes, well, to be fair, he put me on the spot. What will you be wearing? I don't know.
We've gone to a place I've never visited before. Well, you know, Liz in her Saints pants.
Nobody's asked before.
You kept that
I've got
one.
them in a sale.
Yeah.
Got them in a sale. I've got some oddball Saints pants. They're very comfy, and they were a bargain. And I was going to say, I don't think we've lost horribly when I've been wearing them. So you know, it was something to say on radio, wasn't it? Really.
Well, yes.
But talking of pants, that brings us on to the Shor Army song and scenes in the changing room.
Well, yes. So
getting down to pants.
There were a lot of players. There was one player in particular who was in his pants. Should we have a look at the scene?
Have a look at the scene.
I'll just find said photograph. Now the chairman's had a laugh. Here we go. Here's the scene. I'll just share this. Can you see that? Oh, no.
See a very close up of Tom James's arm there.
That's not worked, has it?
Yeah, it's there. I can see it.
You can see it, can you? Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, yes. So,
over to the right here. That's the right as I'm looking at it. God only knows how it shows on the screen. Is Finn Smith wearing a coat? Why is he wearing a coat?
Finn Smith is wearing a coat because by the time he got to the changing room, he was down to his pants. Continuing the theme. Tommy's in his pants, so clearly his socks, boots, and shorts are gone. Henry here doing some sort of war dance.
He's got his shorts on and nothing else.
Shorts on and nothing else. But he had actually got into the changing room wearing his shirts, but he was giving his all for the old Shor Army song. Yes. Yeah, but it was so. Richard Lindsley, who is a regular listener to the pod, asked me the question on X this morning: was this the best singing of the Shor Army song for this season? Absolutely, it was immense and sung with great heart. I would say is the way. And they were just. I felt sorry for the EPCR medics in the background because, of course, you have to have drug testers in the room, looking slightly bemused. But yeah, it was sung with great gusto. Congratulations to Tom James on his 100th cap. Yeah, Tom is he's the ultimate club man. He didn't want a fuss made of his 100th cap. And although he was presented by Colsey with his tankard that you get from the players, and he'd poured some beer in it, and Douse wouldn't finish. He wanted to finish talking or let them sing until Tom had drunk all the beer. There obviously is some rule.
Oh, I'm so glad some traditions still remain.
Yeah, so he had to down it. He had to down it, which he dutifully did. And then he came up and sang the Shor Army song. But yeah, I would say, Richard, for this season, it's absolutely it's well up there. I think it is the best. But I'm not going to say it will be the best because we don't know where we're going to go next. It's going to be we're still on that roller coaster. And it is, it's wonderful. What was wonderful is the girls on tour, of course, as I said earlier, they snuck in. There they are, they couldn't stay away, and there they are with the crowd, on the pitch. They were just everywhere. It was just, everywhere. Yeah, absolutely everywhere. But no, it was good to see everybody was having a good time. A good time was had by all. So, it was all good. I have only just started editing my photographs, so I've got a long way to go, and I don't have really much access to a network. So, those of you who like looking at my photos with a cup of tea on a Sunday afternoon, I'm going to drink whiskey. That's where I'm going.
And it's going to say it's a bank holiday tomorrow, so they'll have to make do.
Yeah. We are flying home tomorrow, so at some point tomorrow we'll get them away.
Whilst we're on the subject. We have touched on it. Man of the match, man in pants, and an upgrade on his card.
Well, yes, we should. We should talk about that. Absolutely, we should. So, for those of you who remember, one of the funniest videos, right, was Finn reacting very badly to his card in the rugby game, whatever it's called, and he's had an upgrade. So we've got the video, and we'll have a watch. We will put it in here. We'll slot that in for those of you who haven't seen it. But the score that always fascinates me, or seems to fascinate them, and what fascinates me is why they're so bothered about it, is the mentality score, which apparently, according to Henry, he'd have him done over in seconds. To which he responded,
I think that. Oh yes, don't make it all about you again, bro.
Slim out there, Finn. Slim out there.
I think why they're fascinated is because Fremo got such a high mentality score.
I noticed they very carefully made Finn's one more than Fremo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes.
So I do have I do have talking of blanking people. Sorry, Kerry again. Dr. Jones played the blinder, the IT department, who was holding court in Lansdowne Lanes. For those of you who don't know the Aviva, one of the main thoroughfares out of the stadium is Lansdowne Lane, and it's also the route out from the media centre where I was. And so he kept bumping into various people, including our old friend Simon Robinson and his mates. But he also recognised the lovely Elliot. And so said hello to the lovely Elliot and had a chat. And then he noticed George Fairbank was stood next to him and he completely blanked him.
How can you do that to the original Sgt Wilson? That's just... Hang your head in shame. Was Elliot stood in front of him or something?
Extraordinary. Utterly extraordinary, but very IT department.
So soon forgotten. Honestly, injured and on the scrapping.
And by the way, everybody was asking. George was in the changing room, and I did a lovely photograph for Tom James of the 100 Club. I was asked to take a photograph of the 100 Club. Oh, yeah. They all the players who have won 100 caps. And of course, Tom was in the middle, and George was with him. So it was lovely to see everybody, and it was great to see lots of the other players. You know, TP was there, Robbie was there, Sam Graham was there. So yeah, it was absolutely marvellous. Well done to Mr. Hendy for getting through another operation.
I was going to say, quick shout out to somebody who wasn't there.
He wasn't there.
George.
Yeah, well done for getting your shoulder sorted and protecting your feet so they're still on the wrong way around. Again, I was very worried that the surgeon would take the opportunity to, you know. I was all over, but it looks like we survived. So well done, George, and get better soon.
Get better soon. Yes,
yeah, absolutely.
Yes, to go back to something we alluded to earlier about lessons, teachers and lessons, because there was a lot of talk in the media, on the telly, on forums about, well, wait till Henry Pollock comes up against a decent team. That Van der Fleer is going to show him what's what. Don't think that's actually the way it happened.
Didn't go well, that lesson teaching, did it?
Didn't.
But did you notice they've now swung the other way? He's gone from being, the young upstart who's going to get taught a lesson to he is the future England captain. It's like, oh, right, okay. Here we go.
And Van der Fleer wearing the red hat so that they could see what he was doing. Again, not necessarily a wise decision, I don't think. When a 20-year-old is going, no. And thank you.
Black headbands are so much more discreet. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Colsey putting a bid in. I was wearing a headband first.
Yes, he was. He was also practicing his kicking before the game. I was slightly concerned.
Okay.
So it was, and something happened to me that never happens. I've never known it. I was getting hugs from lots of photographers. I was being congratulated by lots of photographers. And yeah, it was very kind of everybody. Yeah, people were making a point of coming over and shaking my hand or giving me a hug. And normally togs aren't like that. And the other thing that happened, which just made me laugh, was suddenly the togs realised all those photographs they've taken of Dingers, of Fremo, of Finn, were the ones that everybody was going to want. But the local togs didn't know our team. So I had a lot of, is this such and such? Very politely in the... Excuse me, who's this? And in the background, there's Angus Scott Young. Yes, so, but I've never known that before. Peter Short was, the Cron had sent him over to take photographs of the fans, and Peter does that so well. Normally he is one on the terrace, but he did a really cracking job yesterday. Dave Rogers basically stood in front of me and went, I never saw that coming. Some of you might have heard.
Well, no, because of your blasted new cameras, you've done your best to kibosh.
Yes, I can say that the R1s were there again. He said, I never saw that coming. That is the best I've ever seen them play. And you think of the number of games that, the legend that is Dave Rogers has shot.
I have to say, it was an 80-minute performance, and it was a lesson in how to keep your heads and not let anything get in the way of your game. It was incredible.
Yeah.
I did say to my IT department when the half-time score came up, and other than being delighted that whatever happens, we'd done better than anybody else had done. And I said, now it'd be interesting because Leinster have not been in this position of this season of chasing the game. It'll be interesting to see how they respond. And I don't think they handled it well at all. I think that was where they.
Well, I think Leo Cullen admitted as much. They got jittery.
Absolutely,
they got top two injuries. Yeah, absolutely, they got jittery. And if one thing, our propensity to go behind and then we have to come back teaches us is not to panic. And yesterday we didn't have to. We went behind a little bit, but we already knew we were in the game, so it was a slight different circumstance. But no, Leinster did not handle it. It didn't handle it particularly well last season. We just ran out. We just ran out of time. This season, they were in a completely bad place. So it was a brilliant day yesterday. We must talk and we must thank everybody at Goldington Road. I was getting a lot of messages from Goldington Road. Bedford Blues were playing London Scottish, and the women were playing Hertfordshire, University of Hertfordshire, I think it was. And the Borough, apparently, for those of you who know Goldington Road, the Borough is the big bar at the bottom of the hill, was showing the match, and it was bouncing. There was a lot of cheering, a lot of support for the lads. So thank you to everybody at Goldington Road. Congratulations to Dean Adamson for two reasons. He is now Bedford Blues' leading try scorer. He finally got the try. Well done. But he's also a father.
I was going to say, you've had a new baby as well.
Little Adamson. So well done. He described it as a wonderful week, and I'm not surprised. And your favourite player, Mr. Garside.
Yes.
Got a hat trick.
Yes. Excellent. Good result, wasn't it? Oh.
It's an excellent result. And, as we've said, throughout the season, Bedford are punching above their weight. They're absolutely playing, some brilliant rugby in the championship. They're doing the business. I'd like to shout out Woodlands School.
Yeah.
Under 13 sevens winners at the Gardens. And the reason I'd like to shout out is two reasons. One is it's Manny Iogan's old school. And the second is I used to live literally less than half a mile from the school in Basildon. And I had a chat with the teachers. Lovely. They were, it was a great day. Ben Lawrence and his team put on a fabulous day. And they are the first state school ever to win it.
Brilliant. That's fantastic.
So, well done, Woodland School. Doing Essex proud. And Manny was a bit cross because we didn't know. I don't think Ben realised the connection between Manny and.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so Manny was a bit disappointed that he was getting messages, and he has got a message to the school to say congratulations because he stays in touch, which is absolutely great. So well done. Dear. And then we're on to next week. It doesn't stop. Exeter. Yeah. Shall I just jump out the plane? Yeah, on the way back. Just pop down.
I would. Yeah.
I mean, we're going to go all the way across to come all the way across. I don't know what's going on at Exeter. But former Saintsman Rob Hunter. It's really sad to hear what's happened to him. The clear out continues. And I learned that Dave Walder has been brought in early to coach the team. Because Ali Hooper was placed on gardening leave. Rob Baxter clearly thinks he needs some help. So we'll see. The match is on Sunday, so we do actually have, more than a week to recover with travel. I think probably because we got the travel there as well as getting back from Dublin. It will be interesting to see. Dowse is still going for it. He's still going for it until it's mathematically not possible. And in my head, there is a little devil over my eyebrow thinking. In fact, somebody said this to me on Friday, I think, but I had the same thought. Get fourth place, go to the wreck, and win.
Why not? Why not us?
Why not us?
On that note,
lots of talk about my favourite baseball team at the moment, who are having an interesting season. Shout out to Casas, the first baseman, who, he's basically out for the year. He did his knee on Friday, and it's a bit of a mess. But of course, they won the in 2004, and Dowse got them watching and understanding. Why not us comes from that, because in what's called the 4 days in October, they came back from 3-0 down in what's effectively the semi-final before the World Series, and they came back from 3-0 down to beat the Yankees, and they did it doing it slightly differently from us. They did it from calling themselves the Idiots, because nobody believed that they could win in the same way nobody believed we could win. But I thought it was interesting. Dowse made the connection between a gentleman called David Ortiz and Henry, because Ortiz had the ability to seize the big moments. Now, I suggest our listeners and watchers go and have a look at a photograph of David Ortiz. You couldn't have somebody who looks more different to Henry.
Yes.
But in terms of his ability to recognise the big moments and seize them, I think Dowse is spot on. Absolutely spot on. So, yes.
Upwards and onwards, or westwards, depending on... Yeah, and...
east. I'd like to go east before I go west, if that's all right.
Oh, yes, it is for you. We will be going west from here, and we will see you there. Come and say hello to us if you're there. At Exeter, we will be there. We're having fun, hopefully in the sun. It'll still be windy.
Well, it was windy here. I think that surprised a few people.
I haven't. We haven't explained about the eels.
Oh, yes. Come on, we'll finish on the eels story.
Eels. So,
Eels of Ely in Cambridgeshire, a fine county.
Ely in Cambridgeshire has an eel day, eel festival once a year, and it was this time. So I went with my Morris side, playing marmalade in, and there was a giant eel, which looked more like a centipede.
People used to eat eels in Cambridgeshire because the fens had lots of eels in them.
Lots of eels everywhere.
Yes, and eels were a delicacy.
This eel festival includes apparently tossing of eels, and they don't use real eels anymore. They are specially made rubber eels. So we were processing down Ely High Street, following a giant eel, which was
blue and looked like it was made of curtain material. But anyway,
and it's quite that, even by Morris standards, that's going a little bizarre. And then there were people in the crowd waving eels.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very traditional.
Yeah, again, very strange though. And then at one point there was a stuffed toy giraffe that was nearly as tall as me, standing watching us process by.
Well, there you go.
Rather be in Dublin. Anyway, so that was why our eels were involved. Eels were there. So it was a fine day, but got very cold and very windy in the afternoon.
So by the time we talk to you next time, we will know the Lions squad, and
we'll know who we're playing in the final.
We'll know who we're playing in the Investec Champions Cup final. Oh, yesterday's prize, by the way, the president in the press room, Bill Tom, didn't bother.
More chocolate.
There were quite a few dazzles looking homeless. It's a bit sad, but there you go. Fremo's dog has got another dazzle, hasn't it? Oh, anyway. We will know finalists. We will know Lions, and we will have been west again.
We will.
as we
We will.
continue.
Catch up
And we will also know in 2 weeks' time who the winners of all the prizes are at the dinner, because the dinner is on the 13th. So that won't be until after the next pod. But get voting, everybody. We
too late. It's closed.
Oh, is it closed? Oh, right. Sorry, you missed the boat, everybody.
Yeah, even the supporters club one is closed now, I think.
Too late.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, hey.
There we go.
Hey,
you snooze, you lose. Oh, just a note quickly is, though I suspect it will have by the time we come out, supporter club is planning to put on at least one coach to go down to Cardiff. But you need to sign up, go to the website, and there's a signing up page. But the demand seems to be quite high for that. So £50 for members, £55 for non-members.
Yep. So, okie doke. Well, well done, everybody. Well survived.
Yeah.
Well putting on your lucky whatevers, because they clearly worked. I'm now off to drink a lot of whiskey.
Yes, have fun. I'm
what I'm
going to do.
And I'm binging and bonging still.
I know there's so many emails.
So many bingings. It's going everywhere.
More Leinster supporters trying to offload tickets. Believe the number of emails we've had through the supporters club. I've got 4 tickets. I've got 2 tickets. I've got this, that, and the other. So there should be plenty. I'm just waiting to see if hotels suddenly come online as well. Over the course of a few days. So, love you and leave you. Safe travels home. Safe travels to Exeter, and catch up with you then.
Have a jolly one, everybody. Bye. I can't. I've lost the button again.
Oh Lord, again.
I mean, it's just what is going on.
You've only got one job.
Well, I've got several actually. Just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Bye, everybody. Why I'm going to strangle the IT department.
Have I had a card upgrade or something? Great personality. Yeah, I'm cooking now. I've gone from underrated to severely overrated, but at least I've got some respect on my name. Is this legit or is this a prank? It's 7. Pollock, chill out, bro. Chill out. What I mean, bro? Oh, no. Has he got a rating? No, I don't want.
No.
You got a beast, mate? Men's has a 9-2. I got beast, mate. I break you in seconds. That's a 9-2. Don't make this about you again. He just cried about it. That's what happens when you pick up a fuss and strop. I just feel bad for you and give you a new one.